tuned into WestLINK.
Hello and welcome to WestLINK, where we connect to talk about relevant topics.
We appreciate you joining us this afternoon, and we would invite you, or like to invite you, to like, comment, and subscribe to our Toronto West channel.
I am your host for today, Nalia Birkett, and I will be graduating from grade 8 and entering high school in the fall. I am delighted to be your host for what promises to be a very engaging discussion. Our topic for today's program is COVID-19 and our children. How did you fare? We have an exciting lineup of panelists to give us some keen insight into this topic. At this time, however, I would like to introduce my co-host. Yes, co-host, as I am the main host for this afternoon's program. But you may have seen our co-host before. He looks a little familiar to me. Maybe you've heard his name before. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Well, before Nalia was born, I had an identity, and I used to answer to the name Greg Birkett. But since then, I am more commonly referred to as Nalia's dad, or the artist formerly known as Greg Birkett. And I am delighted to co-host this show with my daughter this afternoon. And as she mentioned, she is the main host, so I'm just here in a very supportive role. So Nalia, let's get it.
Thank you, Greg. On March 20th, 2020, the World Health Organization, also known as the WHO, declared COVID-19 to be a pandemic.
This declaration was made just prior to our yearly March break, and students and teachers were surprised to hear that schools would be closed for an additional 2 weeks.
Some of us rejoiced and others were a little concerned. March break had never been extended like this before. How bad was this virus? Were we in serious danger? It started in China, impacted Italy, but it's not going to be a big deal in Canada, right?
Before we knew it, the whole world was in lockdown, and our healthcare professionals appeared to be totally baffled. Was it spread through contact, or was it airborne? Was it just a stronger version of the flu? Could its symptoms harm you for life, or could it be fatal?
Kids asked their parents questions that they could not answer. Online school and waiting on devices from schools made the rest of the school year very challenging. Drive-by birthday parties, virtual graduations, and Zoom playdates, and the common use of the phrase, the new normal, made us all wonder if our lives would ever be the same again. Today, we will talk about the impact that COVID-19 has had on our young lives. Our young people are our future, and we are all curious to know how the impact of the pandemic has affected them presently, and what all of this means for the years and decades ahead.
Right. So let's get right into it, and we are going to introduce our amazing panelists. So first off, we have Naya Gordon. Hey,
Hi.
how are you doing, Naya?
I'm good. How are you?
We are surviving. We're doing well. Listen, we're happy to have you, and we'd like you to tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Well, that's good. I am a grade 9 student at Castlebrook Secondary High School. Some things I like to do, I like to play sports, and I'm currently on the Ultimate Frisbee team at our school, and we just won OFSA championship, so that would mean we won all of Ontario.
Woo! Let's go, Naya. All right, good stuff. Next up, we have Jacob Little. Welcome
Hi,
to the show,
everyone.
sir.
Thank you.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Um, My name is Jacob Little, and I attend Crawford Adventist Academy, where I am about to finish my first year of high school. I play on the junior high school basketball team. I love all type of sports, and I am very devoted to God.
All right, awesome. Okay. And then last up, we have Paris Patrick.
Hello, hi.
Welcome to the show, Paris.
Thank you.
All right, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Bruce Patrick, as never told, and I actually graduated from Crawford in 2021, and I will be starting university in early childhood. So I'd like to be a teacher, so I'll be starting with that at Ryerson University. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you want to be a teacher, huh? Okay, we'll talk about that. No, I'm kidding. It's awesome. It's an awesome profession. Awesome profession. But before we get into things, we're gonna ask Naya to pray for us. So go ahead, Naya.
Lord, I just want to pray and ask that you will guide us through this topic. I also pray that you will help us to learn new things about how people felt through this COVID time, Lord. Please bless us and please come and speak through us, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now, before we get into our questions, we're going to have a commercial break.
Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back. So, we're going to start off with our first question. What was your first reaction when you found out that schools were closed because of COVID-19? So, we are going to start with Naya.
I was happy because school was closed. A little bit disappointed as well, but I was happy that we were able to have a longer break because we had March break and then it went on and we didn't have school from that time. I was also a little bit sad because my mom had told me that we can't mix up with people or have like parties or like be with friends because of the new virus that was spreading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jacob?
I was very happy because you get an extended March break. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to wake up early. You don't have to do schoolwork. You can just sit home and sleep and eat anytime you want. So, just being away from school was just a blessing.
Only Jacob would be thinking about food. Paris?
For me, at first, I remember everyone was running up and down in the hallways at Crawford, so happy. Oh my gosh, we don't go back to school. I was like, you guys just wait. Something's gonna happen. And then
Mm.
we were told exactly what's gonna happen. Everyone was so sad. We're like, wow, it's online. So at first I was like happy. Afterwards, I was just like, I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's really interesting because I think we were all really just unsure, right? And everyone was talking about these uncharted waters. We've never been here before, right? So very, very interesting.
All right, so our next question. What was the most fun part about staying home and going to school online? So we'll start with Paris.
The most fun thing for me was that I wouldn't have to get up that early. And also being in the comfort of my own home. It felt, yeah, it felt good for me. I think.
Yeah, my son said that he liked being close to the snacks, right? So that was his reason for loving being at home because he had good access to the snacks. Naya, what do you think?
One of my favorite things to do was like when it was nice outside, it would be to go outside in my backyard and just to be in the fresh air while being in class and also to have a warm lunch.
Awesome.
And Jacob?
Sleeping, um, just getting like 2 hours of sleep before waking up to go to school. Um, like lunch break, you don't have to be in class. I could just sit and watch TV or just be on my phone.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of perks of being online.
Yeah, so and I like how you're keeping it so real, Jacob, right? Like the extra 2 hours of sleep, obviously, for a teenage boy, that's huge. But now let's fast forward a bit, and you're back in school, right? And there are a bunch of changes. First of all, can you talk to us about, for a lot of the adults, they don't know the changes that you guys had to go through when you're in school, right? So, what was different when you got back to school? And how did those changes make you feel? Go ahead, Jacob. I'm going to stay with you, man. How did those changes make you feel when you got back into school?
Um, they were different. So
Mm,
when we first came back to school, which was last year, grade eight, when I was in grade eight, we couldn't touch everyone. We couldn't touch anyone. We had to stay 6 feet
mm,
apart. The teachers were always telling us, keep your mask on, keep your mask on. Initially we had like breaks, like to go outside and take off our masks and stuff, but there was no sports at all, no extracurricular activities. We just get through the school day and go home. So it was hard.
So talk to me a little bit more about the mask thing, right? Because you said, teachers are telling you keep the mask on, keep the mask on. How many hours are we in school now? So we're in school, well, we get there maybe around 8:45. Um, and then you're in school till what, about 3:15 maybe? Okay. So we're
Yeah.
looking at maybe 6 hours. What is it like to keep a mask on for 6 hours, right? What was that like for you, Jacob, to have to keep this mask on? And I see Leah's face. What was it like to keep that mask on for 6 hours?
It's so stressful because yeah, it's hard to breathe, and then the teachers are always asking to speak up, like speak up, Jacob, we can't hear you. And then you always used to like talking without a mask, so you want to like take the mask off, but then you realize
Hmm.
COVID.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
the, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you froze there for a second, but that's okay. We get the gist of what you're saying. Patrice, sorry. So your thoughts on the changes when you got back? First of all, tell us because Jacob did a good job there of outlining some changes. There might be some things that you saw.
So for me, I came back in grade 12. So I left in grade 11 and came back in grade 12 for the COVID. So after, for me, I think those things was, as Jacob said, the mask. I did not like that at all. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I took
Hmm.
it off so many times because I did not like it. And I would always bring lunch and I would put it in the microwave and we couldn't use the microwave anymore. We couldn't order food to come in. So I'm like, what should I do? Also, we would be in choir and we would all have to separate in different rooms. We couldn't be all together to sing. And we had to be on Zoom even though we were in class. So
So
that was
so
very,
with the choir separating, when did you get to like practice together? Did you get opportunities to practice together before you actually performed?
we have to do it outside and we all have to be like 6 feet apart all the time. So it would still be, it was always very awkward. And the Zoom, that was like the worst for me. But yeah, otherwise,
Interesting.
yeah.
All right. So Naya, how did these changes make you feel? Was there any one change in particular maybe that stood out that was, what is this, right? This isn't normal, right? And how did it make you feel?
One thing that was very abnormal to me was because I'm a talkative person. I like to talk, I like to socialize. And so I like to socialize with all my classmates. So when our teacher, we were put in desks facing forward, we weren't allowed to turn. It was always sit forward, don't turn. It was very hard because the only people I could talk to was the one on the right and the one on the left. And so I couldn't talk to people behind me, the ones that were further away. So it was really hard to like to be normal and to get back into that way of school.
Yes, and we know your father, and we know he's a very social person, and we know he passed that down to you. So it must have been very difficult to be able to only speak to two people in a classroom full of people. Tough,
Yes.
tough. Yeah.
All right. So for me personally, I know that in our family we would go on bike rides on Sabbaths and I would paint. So I want to know, what did you guys do with your families on Sabbath during the pandemic? So we'll start with Paris.
So for me, we would always have a really fun time. We would all go downstairs and watch like different churches every Sabbath online, and we would have Bible class and we would play Kahoot. And we would go onto Zoom with our family from Jamaica, and we would all just come together and just play Bible games, and that really helped me and helped all of us to like get closer to each other, and I think that was really fun for me.
Jacob?
Same like Paris, playing Bible games, going outside, watching Bible movies, stuff like that. It just helped me get closer to God. And it was, even though, you couldn't go to church, you could still watch the live stream and stuff. So it was still good overall.
Okay.
And Naya?
One of the couple of things that we went on Sabbath picnic. So sometimes we choose to go downtown, find a nice quiet spot, or go Niagara Falls and just like talk about God and like look at His nature. We would also, so our family from before we would the family we had, we would go on Zoom and do Bible study on there or like a quick devotional with them each Sabbath.
Nice. So tell me, did any of you guys do church hopping? Like go to a lot of different, different church services? Like check out other services, not just T West?
You gotta make sure you go to all the Jamaica conferences, all the West, East, North, South,
Yes.
all the conferences.
True, true, true. All right. So now, how long did you guys think the pandemic would last? And how did it make you feel when we went into the second year of the pandemic, right? I remember speaking to, it was Curtis Ambrose, a friend of ours, and he said, when this is done, we're going to get together and we're going to have a cook up, And this was about maybe 2 months into the pandemic, and he was planning this for the summer, ready to go, right? And then all of a sudden we're in year two. So, Carice, how did that make you? First of all, how long did you think this thing was going to last?
I thought it was gonna be 2 weeks because they kept 2 weeks and 2 weeks and 2 weeks, but I personally thought it was gonna be 2 weeks after March break. Then when we went into a second year, I was like, wow, this is really serious. Like, wow, like this is topping the entire world, not only where I'm from, but everywhere. So it was just very scary to me. I was like, wow. And I just wanted to stop wearing the mask. I just really wanted to stop wearing it. It was just, yeah, it's very.
Okay. So what? So I want to bring Jacob in, man. So it's going into the second year now, right? What were your thoughts when we went into the second year? We go through 2020 and we bring in the new year, and then it's 2021, and we're still in this pandemic. How did that make you feel?
I was frustrated. I thought like it would have been gone in like at least a couple weeks into 2020, but now we're in 2021. now you have to do more online. Now you don't know if you're gonna go back, and so
Mm,
it was stressful. I just wanted it to end so like you could go back to normal, going different places and stuff.
okay. So Naya, for you, we're in year two, and everyone's talking about the new normal. Did anything about it feel normal for you, right? Like, how did you feel going into the second year of this pandemic? Did it start to feel normal? Were you like, oh, okay, yeah, I got this, right? I know online school. I know I gotta stay 6 feet apart, whatever, whatever. Or were you like, what is this? I'm ready for it to go back to the way it was.
It was a little bit difficult because at first I started getting used to going 8:15 start up, click meet. I was ready to do that, but as soon as the next year came, I was ready to go back to school. But then it kept on pushing it back and pushing it back, and I'm just like, when am I able to see my friends in person? When am I able to see the legs and not just the head? I was like, I don't know when. I was tired of it, really tired, and like all the work they would be giving, it
Mm.
was way less if we were in person, but it was a lot of screen time and headaches too.
Well, that's interesting. Talk about that. So you actually felt like you were getting way more work, right? Okay. And why do you think that was? Why do you think you get less work when you're in front of the teacher and you feel and you're getting more when you're actually online?
I think it was because in class the teacher was able to help us and to see that we were doing the work, but as online kids might have not done their work, the teacher would be like, you need to hand this in, start handing the work in, the lessons that we did so that she knows that he or she knows that they were teaching us or that they were doing something that we were writing or taking notes or doing something.
Mm.
But usually in person the teacher would be able to see that we're doing our work, having help from others, and just continuing to work.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. All right, Nalia, let's go.
All right. So, who did you talk to about how you were feeling during the pandemic? And why did you choose that person? So, we'll start with Naya. Who did you talk to during the pandemic? Who did you talk to about your feelings?
I talked to my parents mostly about the COVID because I was really tired of it. And my dad and my mom would always give me a push to say keep on going, or like when they said, or when I was giving, like I had headaches or like I was tired of this school, they would just try to like push me forward to keep on doing it and to say it will be soon done, just keep on working through it. And I was so tired of the online. I was really tired of it, but they just helped me to move through it. And even my friends, they just said it's okay, we'll get through this, and they were just there to help everybody.
Hmm.
Hey, Paris?
To family and friends because I'm closest to my family and also my friends, and we were all going through the same thing, so we could relate. So that's why I spoke to them the most.
Okay. And I like that you said, we're all in the same boat, right? There's times when we have our challenges that feel so specific to us, but with the pandemic, everyone was going through it, right? Young, old, didn't matter. So yeah, it's interesting that you would bring that up because it really sort of blurred the lines. We're all going through the same thing, right? So Jacob, what were your thoughts with regards to you said before that it was frustrating, could be stressful at times. Who would you turn to with regards to your feelings, right? And why would you turn to that particular person or those people?
Um, I turn to my just like Priest and Naya, my friends and family, um, because the first few stages, like, oh, it's just a flu or it's just another disease. It's gonna be gone by next week or so. But then as you got deeper into the year, you realize it wasn't going anywhere. So just being able to talk to my family and friends and being able to bond with your friends more, even though you're not
Hmm.
at school, it really helped.
Awesome, awesome. And just want to find out from you guys, just sort of backtrack and go back to the idea of church. What did you guys miss the most about not being able to go to church in person? Right? What did you miss? I saw a smile there, Nalia. So I think I hit something there, right? What did you miss the most about not being able to go to church during this lockdown?
One thing I missed a lot was going to Pathfinder. Honestly, like we'd have everybody there talking. We'd do drills. I miss doing drills. Like even though it might not seem like a lot of people miss doing that, I miss that. And the contests were fun, and just to like learn new things about God. And online is fun, but it's like we don't really like we see people's face, but sometimes all of our cameras are off. Wow. And Uncle Sean comes in, and then we all turn back our cameras quick. But I still miss Pathfinders, just being the space where I can see all my friends on Sundays and just being with them.
And what about you, Jacob? What did you miss most about not being able to be at church on Sabbaths?
Just like now, I miss like the fellowship, seeing all the friends and stuff, you know. Usually after church, a lot of people would stay back, have lunch, talk, you know, go to Bible studies. You had adventurers, and later in the night you'd play basketball or run around church. So I miss that a lot. And especially Easter, like you never get the full Easter experience when you're online because you have movement and then you have to work on the play and stuff. So those are the things that I really missed.
Awesome. Listen, thank you guys for being so honest and vulnerable and letting us know exactly how you felt. And it was just hilarious to see Nalia's eyes pop out of her head when Nalia said that she missed drilling at Pathfinders.
I don't know how you missed drilling. I was so glad when we went online and didn't have to do drilling. I hope it doesn't come back.
Wow. Two totally different experiences, huh? Interesting. Listen, this has been amazing, and we're going to keep it going. We're going to take a quick break right now, and we're going to hear from some other children and their thoughts on the pandemic, and then we will be back.
Happy Sabbath, saints of God. We're here today just to lift up the name of the Lord and just to praise Him because He's such an awesome God. Here we go. You're my strength and you are my salvation. I will put my trust in you. My heart sings, in you my soul rejoices. This song of praise to you. You are the awesome God. You are the awesome God. You are the great I am. You are the great I am. The only living word. Wonderful Counselor. You are the awesome God. You are the awesome God. You are the first and last. You are the first and last. The only living
I did not like COVID because too many people were dying and it made me sad. I miss going to church, playing with my friends at school, and I was not able to go swimming, play soccer, visit my granddad in America, going to Wonderland and having friends and family over. I couldn't go to the park because the parks were closing and I couldn't go. But the only things that I did like were my mom. She got to work from home. I got to spend more time with her. And I also liked that I could wake up for school later because it was online.
How it's affected me was very hard. Especially wearing the mask, they just allowed me online. I have two reasons. It was good and bad. The bad thing is that it's hard to read and it's easy to get distracted. And I've got caught a little sometimes, but yeah, I learned from that. Also the good thing is that we get to learn more about the technology, how to use it. So more about online. Online, pretty hard, especially getting the teacher's attention. It's either lag, internet problems, or the thing just freezes, and that gets annoying. Well, if you're in person, in class, it's easier because you can just raise your hand, talk to the teacher, or there's no lagging because you're in, maybe in the class when your teacher's trying to present something, the lag and internet is there, but still, in the class, we have papers. I liked online a bit because I don't really like writing. I like typing because typing's really my thing. I like technology. Also, how since COVID happened, it's hard to see my friends and talk to them, especially my grandparents. So also, that could COVID me is birthday parties. So birthday parties was hard because I had to do online, and I know that I like online, but most of the people I invited don't play games, and some of them I didn't have contact with.
Before COVID, I was pretty social. I was involved in a lot of things and made friends pretty easily. Then when COVID came and all that got taken away from me, I kind of just got used to being by myself. Then when things got back to normal, and I was going back to school and doing everything I used to do, it kind of felt like I had to restart my life over again and relearn everything I used to know. It was difficult and frustrating at times. That is how COVID affected me. Right. So those are some interesting videos, different perspectives. So what were your thoughts on what some of the people said in their videos? So we'll start with Jacob. What were your thoughts on some of the things that they were mentioning?
The online stuff. I know that Quincy that you got in trouble a little for not paying attention in class, and I think it's easy to not pay attention because you wanna watch something else or do something different. So that was kind of a challenge. But also not seeing your friends is hard because you can only see them online, and there's not much you can do because you can't really talk to them in class. So yeah.
Interesting. How many tabs did you have up while you were online?
I'd probably say 6 or 7, maybe.
All right. And you said you got in trouble, so your teacher actually caught you a couple of times?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And we're aware that your mom is watching this show. Just thought I'd put that out there. But yeah. Next up, Naya, what were your thoughts on some of the things that these kids had to say? Could you relate?
Yes, I could. Like one of the children said that they got in trouble a little bit, just like how Jacob did as well. I didn't get in trouble because I was a great student. But there were some points where I got a little bit distracted or like yeah.
Like right now?
Distracted.
Yeah.
But the online was a great experience. But it was like when she said that she had to start her life over again. And it was like a new, like it was like we had a life and then we had a new life that we had to form and like go into and learn how to do it again.
Wow. So you agree with that? So that resonated with you. It felt like you had to start over in some ways. Okay, so
Yeah,
much new
start learning
learning.
how to use Google Docs and submit it.
Wow. And that's so interesting that you guys say that, right? Because you guys, you're the technology generation. You're born with technology, using it all the time. But you're saying that there were still things that you had to adapt to, still new learning, right?
Yeah.
And how did that make you feel, right? Learning how to submit these assignments, to turn it in, and all those different things. How did that make you feel? Did that make you a little more anxious about school?
Yeah, it was very difficult to learn how to just submit the right things, or like for example, we needed to have for math we had to use exponents. How were we supposed to get that on Google Documents? We had to figure it out, use Jamboard, use all these things. It was very difficult, but we got through it.
Okay. Paris, let's bring you in. So there's this new way of life, right? Did it feel new to you? Would you consider yourself a techie, like someone that's comfortable with technology?
I think I am. I would
Okay,
consider myself, yeah, I am.
okay.
So it
So
was,
before this, what did you mostly use technology for?
pardon?
Before COVID, what did you mostly use technology for?
Probably the media, social media, I would say, to be honest. And like,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. And then how did that change now in this COVID online learning environment? What were you using technology for?
Now I was using it for school. And as they were saying, Google Docs, Google Slides, those were our number one stuff that we had to use. So yeah.
And did you feel like it was a steep learning curve? Like, what is this Google Meet business? Right? Like, how did that make you feel?
Honestly, it was something that I had to adapt to. So I just feel like we used to always use Google Docs and Google Slides to present in front of people, so it was not that bad because we were already used to it from before. But it's just that that's all we use now. There's it's just we have to present online now. We can't present in person anymore. And a lot of stuff was very new to me, I would say, because I didn't. But yeah, besides that, everything was good.
Okay. Now, I saw Abby put something there about the students adapting and the teachers having to adapt as well. Did you guys notice, that your teachers were having some challenges with this new online format as well? And how did that make you feel, seeing your teachers sort of learning the same? And I see you smiling there, Paris. Or are you laughing at your teachers? Or what's going on?
No,
How
because
does that make you feel, seeing them trying to figure this out
yeah,
too?
they were struggling. They were actually struggling. They would have to ask us sometimes, "Oh, how do you do this? How do you do that?" So I really felt bad for them more than I felt bad for myself. Yeah.
Actually kidding your teachers. What about you? And now you're cracking up. Did you actually see that happening with your teachers as well, where they're like, "Oh, well, I've never used this platform before, so," right? What are your thoughts?
So back then in grade 8, my teachers were one of my teachers were fairly young, so they knew how to do it. And the other teacher, she is tech savvy. She knows how to use these things, like she's teaching us. But what I found this year in grade 9 in high school, we are still doing the virtual and in person. So the
Yeah,
teachers have to manage with both
the
the
hybrid.
online and the in person. And we have we have a supply because our teacher is away for like a long period. Supply teacher, we were telling him, you have online students you have to attend to. He didn't have
Yeah.
an email to sign in. So we're like the online people, and so he's like, I'll get to it, but it was really hard for him. I'm like, you can't do that, they're gonna get marked absent. So then we as the class decided to take it up on our own to just say, please put your name for attendance.
Wow.
And then we would tell him who's here and who's not. But it was very difficult because he didn't know how to do a lot of things, and we're like, come, we can do this.
Yes, I had experience with that. One of my teachers thought that they needed a headset for the online students to hear them, so they would only use that headset, and they'd make us use the headset to talk to the online students, even though we could hear them already and they could hear us, but we had to use the headset.
And I can see that you're laughing at your poor teacher, Nalia. Not nice. But I see there was a question from JL Snag, and I want to give Jacob an opportunity to answer this question from Sister Snag here. How was your learning environment, and did it help or distract your progress? Right. So did you feel like this online and some of the on again, off again, in person, back, hybrid, like was this a distraction for you, Jacob, or did you actually feel like you progressed and you did better?
For me, it was a little bit of both. Like first being online, my mom didn't like when I did this, but sometimes I'd push back my work until like the end of the day and then use it for homework and then just use the class period to do like stuff. And so I missed some stuff that I shouldn't have missed in class. So that kind of distracted me. But then going back in person, you have to be focused on the teacher. You can't use your phones. You have to just pay attention in class so you don't miss out on stuff. So I think being online distracted me a little more than being in person, which kind of helped me a bit.
Wow.
Yes,
Totally different.
Oh, what? Sorry, what's that, Nalia?
Totally different for me. I flourished online. I was getting higher grades. Math was on top for me.
Wow.
So I really like online was the year like I was like on top of it.
And that's interesting because I think it's all about your learning strengths and your the way that we take it. I think we're going to sorry, go ahead, Nalia. You had something to say.
Oh no, I was just gonna pick up where you left off because you kind of glitched out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's all right. You're back now. So
I'm back? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I was just saying that it depends on, your learning styles, right? For some people, in person is better and it will bring out their qualities and their strengths. And for other people, online, right, works better. So, we want to bring in an expert at this time. We would like to get another perspective. Not that you guys aren't experts. Sorry, that was rude, right? Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, you guys are experts. We're bringing in a different kind of expert. All right, and Nalia, you're going to welcome this new expert to our platform here. So go ahead.
Yes. So this person is a Toronto West Seventh-day Adventist Church member, and she is currently our education associate and associate church clerk. Her past church involvements include education sponsor, church clerk, the PTA president at the Bull Savannah Seventh-day Adventist Prep School in Jamaica, Sabbath School superintendent, Adventist youth leader, women's ministry leader, and a VBS coordinator. She has a master in education in administration and leadership. She has a bachelor in education and a diploma in teaching. She spent 27 years in education, and she adores children and has a passion for true education, and she believes that we are to seek God first in all that we do. So I would like to welcome Miss Patrice Forbes Patrick. Hello, hello. And how are you today? You're on mute.
Hi, thank you. No, Nalia, thank you very much. I remember when I joined Toronto West, you were like, wow, a baby. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
No problem, no problem. So, we are going to start off with our first question. And so, tell us about some of the most common challenges that children and teens seem to face during the pandemic. Because, yeah.
Okay, so there were many challenges that I saw as a teacher, as a parent, and as a school administrator. But I'm just going to mention a few. Now, the first one I saw is that adhering to COVID restrictions was really, really hard for the kids, really hard in many ways. So they had to be wearing masks. Social distancing was horrible for them. Now, some of the kids were not online that I worked with. They were either in a community where internet access was not available to them, or they chose not to do online because some kids have technology anxiety, so they didn't do it. So we had to deliver paperwork. And because of that,
Can I stop you there for a second and ask you, can you break down technology anxiety for us?
Okay.
What does that mean?
Okay, so they have a problem going on technology. So you would not get them to go on the computer. They are scared about it. So they are fearful of being on the computer. Some of them even being on a phone. So you would not get them to go on it. And it's a no-no. And we allow the parents to choose. And I'm sure most schools allow parents to choose. So they could do either on paper, which we would deliver all the work to the homes, or they would go online, or they would choose nothing at all. So they had a choice. So I remember this young lady that I worked with, she was a special needs, and her major problem, when I spoke to her, we had to go to the home. When I spoke to her, she said, I can never go on the computer. I am so scared. She would never go on it. She would never go on it. So that was really a problem. Like in the classrooms, the kids, they have to social distance, and like they would come and they could like barely talk to their friends. It was like today they're at school and tomorrow they're not. So it was very hard for them. The washrooms too was a problem when they could not just go to the washroom as they like. They had, even that had to be staggered. The break time, when like students look forward to seeing each other in the break time, we had to stagger break time, because if the entire school comes out at the same time, it's impossible to social distance. So that was a real problem. So that was one. The kids felt as if we let them down. So that's the next challenge that I saw. So a lot of kids, they are at school and their biggest motivation is to graduate, for example, or to attend prom. And this was taken away from a lot of them. So I saw that very, very big challenge. So some students were not motivated anymore to come to school because it doesn't make sense. I won't get to graduate, or I'm going to have an online graduation. It's not fair because I saw my siblings graduate or my neighbors graduate. And here am I may not even graduate, or I'm going to have an online graduation or a drive-by graduation. So
And it just doesn't feel the same, doesn't feel real.
Yeah. And sports also was taken away from them. So some students, believe it or not, they're not into academics. They are into extracurricular activities, which is also good and also help them, right? Now, this was taken away from some students, and this really, really posed a problem. It was very challenging for them. And I remember a student, he proposed that I meet with him as the vice principal from my school. And I arranged a meeting with him. And he said, well, I want to talk to you on behalf of the students. And he said, we are tired of this. We can't take it anymore. We are depressed. We are getting anxious and we can't do it anymore. Why are we to come to school and we can't even talk to our friends? So that in that way, and because of my love for children, I really felt it. It really impacted negatively on me in some ways. Another thing challenge that they had is that it was hard to cope with all these uncertainties. So the kids would
Yes.
come to school today, and then when they go home, their parents get an email to say, oh, you can't come to school because you're a close contact either on the bus or in your class. So you can't come to school tomorrow. And I remember a specific case where we had some cases at my school and we had to do contact tracing. The principal and I, we had to be at the school until about midnight. We had to call every single parent, all the classes
Wow.
involved, and then we had to look at the seating plan on the bus to see all the
Mm-hmm.
students who were in. Yeah, so it was
Oh my.
so it was pretty hard for them, and you know, wearing masks all the time, I saw that as a very big problem for
Yes.
a lot of the kids because, and in the end, some of them said, Miss Patrick, I didn't even remember the way you look,
Mm.
right? And some of them chose not to come to school because of wearing the mask. And a
Okay.
lot of students look forward to the lunchroom that was taken away from them.
Okay.
So we had to be serving lunch, and I had to be supervising like one side of the school because we had to
Mm-hmm.
educate the kids that they social distance. So it
Okay.
was it was really, really hard for them. And not to mention the kids who wanted to be online, but they did not have internet access. Some did not have
Okay.
because of where they're living. And like we opted to give some kids like internet, and it just did not work because of where they were.
So did you have to take devices out to them as well for some of those who were in more remote areas?
Yes, we did. So at my school, I was in charge of technology. So
Mm-hmm.
we had a system before where we assigned kids to Chromebooks. And I know
Okay.
Crawford also has that system because my daughter was going to Crawford. So
Yes.
each student was given a Chromebook. And so we had to deliver to some students because some students could not get out. We had to deliver. So we had to hop on the bus and go through the route and deliver to
Mm-hmm.
some students. Some students did not come out. We had to leave it on the steps. And then,
Okay.
and at one stage, we weren't allowed either to go like to speak to anyone. We just leave it at the step or in a mailbox, and
Right.
then we would call them. But and some kids though, I think Naya said it. At some kids though, they fared out better when they were online.
Okay. So Nalia, sorry, did you have I think you had a question or something you were going to mention as
Um,
mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, just to go back to motivation, I feel like a lot of people lost their motivations due to COVID because everything was basically taken away. So there wasn't really much to like something to work towards that you had to put effort into. So a lot of kids just like gave up, stopped trying in class, and that also made it more frustrating on the teachers because they're trying to get you to engage and you just don't want to. And yeah, it was just very stressful. But we're going to move to the next question because we're running out of time. So, experts say that kids were spending too much time in front of devices before the pandemic, but online learning and lockdowns have increased screen time immensely. So, what are some of the dangers of spending too much time in front of screens? And what would you advise to young people to do to keep their screen time at an appropriate amount? So, we'll start with the first question. What are some of the dangers?
Okay, so I'm going to keep it brief by just saying the four main dangers. The first one is weight loss or weight gain. Now, some kids, because they are around the screen, they tend not to do other activities, right? On the other hand, there are some kids, because of the screen, they don't eat. It's like the rest of the world stop and they do nothing else but go on the screen. Yes. So
Yes.
another effect, negative effect, is sleep problems. Right? Now, the light emitted from electronic devices interferes with the brain sleep cycle, so that affects them. Okay.
Yes.
And another thing that I saw with some of our students too at my school is that they have chronic neck and back pain because of their yes. So
Okay.
some of them came back to school with a chronic problem that had to be treated otherwise. And another thing that I saw is depression. Depression and anxiety is a
Yes.
major disadvantage of a lot of screen time.
So before you ask the next question, I was going to ask Naya and Jacob, did you feel like you had sleep problems due to all the screen time and everything. So we're going to start with Naya.
I felt that sometimes I would be on my device at night, and then parents would be reminding me to like, this needs to go. Get upset at me because I can't be on it all kind of hours at night. So it was a little bit difficult, and as we know, group chats started to happen a little bit more. And so my phone would be pinging, and keep on going. And it's hard not to answer because it's keeps on going. You're missing out. It's like a fear of missing out.
I saw Jacob smile broadly when we talked about the sleep deprivation. What are your thoughts, Jacob?
I used to sneak my phone into my bed. Keyword used to, so mom, I don't do it anymore. But when my team was playing, I try to sneak it in, watch some of the highlights, or now it's saying group chats, you're trying to keep up with what's happening because the next day you go to school. Oh, did you see this? Did you see this? So you have to try to get it all in, but manage to get some sleep in before you go to school. So it's challenging because sometimes I wake up and I'm like, do I really have to go to school today? Because you're so sleep deprived. So I think that definitely is one of the problems.
And now, Paris, the lady who has the same last name as you and looks somewhat like you, mentioned that some students were experiencing a little bit of anxiety. Was that a reality for you? You don't even necessarily even have to say for you, but maybe even some of your friends. Was that something that you encountered, anxiety during this time period? Oh, sorry, you're still muted. Still muted.
Hello.
There we go.
Now? So I would say, is it good now?
Go ahead.
I would say no for me. Around me, there was a lot of people who did, especially the younger kids. They'd always come to me and talk about it. And yeah, so I would say yeah, that was a huge thing. Anxiety and depression.
Okay. So we're winding down, but I want to hear from Sister Patrick on this one. So anxiety and depression have been on the rise, as you mentioned, amongst teens and children since the start of the pandemic. As a matter of fact, Sick Kids Hospital did a study with about 1,000 kids, and they found that 70% of them said that they experienced anxiety, depression, just feeling isolated from right, was contributing to this. So if you could maybe tell us, especially as an administrator, some of the warning signs that parents could look for with regards to anxiety, and then if you could give us maybe even one or two quick nuggets about how you can combat anxiety as well.
Okay, so some signs that parents can look for is your child or children being very afraid when they're away from you. And we call that separation anxiety. Also having extreme fear about specific situations, like such as a dog, as an insect. And it's like they're so fearful. They're afraid to go to school. They're afraid to socialize. They're worried about the future. It's like they're saying, well, what is going to happen? And they are, and you are to look out for these things in repeated episodes. And it's not just a one-off, because based on their stage of development, like being fearful can be a part of their natural development. But if you see it's done very frequently, you have to look out for this. And what I would say, how you deal with it, do not ignore it and listen to your children and pray with your children. You can't pray enough. Pray with your children and pray about everything and talk about everything. And something that is recommended that I use as a mom, whatever thing I see in my children or children that I work with, especially if it's at a Christian school where I'm allowed to do that. I sit with them, I talk to them, and I pray about it. So what with them? So whatever you're praying about, you pray about it aloud with God. I like teach them how to pray and talk to God about it. And I really realize that that helped. And as parents, we are not to get anxious too, because it's kind of natural for us to be concerned and anxious, but we have to brave it out. You know, have to brave it out, and play the mature role, be a friend to our kids, and don't let them seek friends outside of us all the time, because that can bring like a long-term problem. In terms of depression, no, depression, some signs of depression, they're always feeling sad. And I saw that a lot during the pandemic. It's like they're not enjoying stuff. And when others are having fun, and like things that they used to have fun with, they no longer have fun with, their sleeping patterns or eating patterns may change. Now, some kids may eat more, while some will eat less. And they have low energy. They're always tired, and it's hard for them to pay attention, and they feel useless. They feel guilty about everything. They feel worthless, as if they don't worth anything. And so those are signs of depression, and anxiety can lead to depression. And depression, I saw a lot of that. Sadly, where I was, I saw a lot of that. And for students and past students, we even lost as a result. And this is very emotional for me. We lost them. And it's sad. Yeah, it's quite sad. Quite sad.
Wow. So on that note, and this sort of connects to something that you were saying before, Nalia, I kind of want to. I'm wondering if you could go with the last question that we actually planned to ask Sister Patrick. If you could go down to that one, because it connects to some things that she was saying just now.
Okay. So, how do we present God as the ultimate help for teens and children during this time?
Wow. I really love that question, because that's what kept me and kept a lot of kids that I know. Now, God in our everyday life, we need to teach kids that in everything we do, it's God. Well, in everything in my life, I put God first, and I see God as a main ingredient. So we have to teach kids whatever we do. When we eat, we talk to God. If we walk, we talk to God. In school, we talk to God when we're going to bed. So help them to develop a relationship with God, and let them find God for themselves. As Paris said, like during the pandemic, because of family stuff that we did, she got closer drawn to God. It's like she had a closer relationship with God as a result. So I would teach the kids to learn about God, because a lot of us, we as kids, we go to church, but we don't really have a relationship with God. So teach them to read about God, to do stuff, to get involved in church activities. And that is something that helped my kids from they were young. I make sure I got them involved in everything. I use all the resources. At church, we have so many resources. So for speaking about Seventh-day Adventist Church specifically, for example, we have children ministries, we have youth ministries, we have education department, we have community services department. So teach your children to get involved in those activities, and that will bring them closer to God. And I just want to commend Crawford before I leave, because my daughter went to Crawford, and I would tell everyone that is the best decision I've ever made for her.
Wow.
So during the pandemic, Crawford didn't just look about the academic part, but the spiritual part they ensured. So they had, even though it was online, it was like almost normal. So the kids got to wear uniform, which is a discipline that's really good for us. And the kids got to worship online. And like the teachers prayed in the classes. So that really helped.
Wow.
And I would say to parents, do not leave out God at any time. Like for me, I pray for my kids. So something I would recommend to parents and to teens, pray continuously. So this one is for parents. When your kids are sleeping, go and pray over their beds.
Wow.
Pray over the computer that they're using. Pray over the phone that they're using. Model healthy lifestyle. We have to be role models for our kids, and because we have to act out what we want them to do. Set time aside for your kids. And kids, I would say, cherish every moment that you spend with your parents. Your parents, we love you. You are gifts to us. And I can tell you, we want what's best for you. At your age, you may not appreciate that all the time, but I can tell you, we really, really, really care for you. And in the end, you will see it. A lot of us, when we were young, we never used to listen to our parents at all times. When we became an adult, we appreciate it more. And I would say, stick to Christ. Stick to Christ. Don't ever let go of Christ. Every single person I know of who have let Christ go, at this point, they're saying, I am sorry that I didn't hang on. Even if you're standing at the door, still don't leave. You will eventually get into a seat. You eventually get to participate. Just don't leave Christ out, because Christ has to be the center of our lives.
Thank you so much, Sister Patrick. That was amazing advice, and very holistic in terms of talking about. I like you were sort of insinuating that home and school, when they're all on the same page, right? Because you're saying that your daughter was getting it at school, and then you're also giving it to her at home. And when the two are working together, then it really increases the chances for our children to have that relationship with God. So this was an amazing discussion, and we are drawing to a close here. So we want to go around and ask every individual on our panel, this amazing panel that we had, if they could give us a quick takeaway that they want people who are watching this show to get from this program, and to understand about what it is to survive COVID-19 and this new quote unquote new normal that we're experiencing. So maybe we'll start with Jacob.
I just hope that everyone took away something from this, that everyone has had problems with COVID or is still struggling with problems from COVID. So I hope this has brought an insight to a lot of people out there, what the youth and how we have struggled with COVID and how we have dealt to cope with COVID.
Awesome. Thank you. Paris, what are your thoughts? What would you like?
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit.
Okay, so what are your thoughts about this whole thing? Because things are having some Wi-Fi issues.
Okay. So my thoughts and something I would like to tell everyone is just to stick together. Being alone is not going to help at all, because that's when you're going to get depressed and sad. So we're all going through the same thing. As I said before, we're all going through this COVID together. We just have to stick together and put God first in the midst of everything that we do.
Amen. All right, Naya?
I'd like to say that just to keep God with you at all times, and to never do anything without Him. Always go to Him with every problem that you have, and not always just to go with Him with all your problems, but to thank Him for maybe letting you go to school and not catching COVID that day, or just be in that area of just living and taking every breath that you have.
Amen.
And Sister Patrick?
I would say make God the center of our lives. And make God the center of our lives, and then we're going to have hands. Okay, so think of your body, right? And then we're going to have, so God, make God our body. Then the hands would be like the church. Stick to the church. Some mistakes that we made, I see that we made during the pandemic as members or as people, we did not make use of the resources that we have. The main one is the church. There were many, many resources. Some person didn't even know about it. Another one is in Canada, there are many resources available. In Ontario in particular, there's a lot. And Canada as a whole, there are many resources. If we just go to Google and we search in and we type in whatever, if we want to type in anxiety, we're going to find information there and how to deal with it. The government has a website for almost everything. So just use our resources, stick to God, and we'll be fine.
Thank you so much, Sister Patrick. Nalia, what are you? I'm going to give you the final word because you said you put me in my place at the beginning of the program and told me that you are the main host. So I'm deferring to the main host, and you will have the final word, and then we'll have Sister Patrick close us out with prayer.
All right. So some advice I would give is to talk to people. Don't keep it inside because when you do, you're probably expecting others to just realize that something's not okay with you when you should tell them, because some people are not as insightful as you are to see different changes in you, and maybe you really need to talk to that person. So just talk to them. Even if you're scared, just know that God's with you, and they'll understand eventually. And if they're not the right person, find someone who is. But just talk to someone and make sure that you're keeping yourself like healthy and not pressing yourself and pushing yourself into all these other things. And just make sure to pace yourself and take some time out for yourself as well. Like, you need some time for yourself. Just make sure that you're taking your breaks, whether it's sleeping, eating, watching your favorite show. Don't take too long of a break, but just make sure you're taking your breaks, and so that you can be on top of things and focused. And yeah.
Thank you, host. All right.
Yeah.
And
Why don't you say something, sir? Since you seem to have a lot to say. No. I think everyone would like to hear from the poet. And just spit out a poem, say a rhyme.
No, I
always
think
telling people that they can't rhyme like you. So say a little something.
Wow.
Come on.
Remember that you're going to see me after we come off camera. So
yes, but this is my time too. This is my time. So I need you to.
I think that everything that was said is absolutely important, and I like that you emphasize that we do need to speak to others when we're not feeling well, right? I think it's very important that we seek counsel with regards to our challenges that we're facing. Yes, Janice, I'm listening to the children, the wise children at that. And as Sister Patrick and everyone emphasized, staying close to God. So, making sure that you have those support systems in place, as well as staying close to God, definitely are tools that we can utilize to help us get through these challenging times, and knowing that it won't last forever as well. Sister Patrick, can you close us off with prayer, please? Thank you so much.
Let us pray. The Lord and Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful arena where our kids could have expressed themselves. Thank you for them, dear Lord. Thank you for blessing us with them. Whatever lessons we have learned from this program, God, help us that we'll put them into action. And God, we will live a life that's pleasing to you so others can see you in us and come to worship you. Thank you for everything, I pray. In your Son's name, amen.
Amen. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good evening. And thank you for joining us for this amazing program. God bless.
No rhymes?